Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unleash Your Inner Goddess interview series featuring 21 top women experts on overcoming negative limiting beliefs, obstacles, and how they stepped into their power and became the successes they are today. I am your host, Kimberly Anderson. I am an intuitive transformational coach and business creative. And I love teaching people how to tap into their intuition, trust it, letting go of those negative limiting beliefs and stepping into their power, unleashing their inner goddess. I am super excited today to bring you Deborah Irish. She is the owner and founder of Art Uncorked mobile paint and sip parties. She is a self-taught artist and has been creating and painting since she was a child. Her passion for art began when she was in high school, and she dabbled in watercolors for years, and she still does. And she discovered art acrylics when her and her husband, with her two sons, moved to Menifee in '89. I absolutely just love your amazing talent and your gift at being able to teach people how to paint. So I'm actually going to just say, yay, I'm so happy you're here today, and hand it over to you for you to share more about what you do.
Well, thank you, Kimberly, so much, and thank you for having me and interviewing me today. Yeah, it's been a journey for sure. I started my paint and sip business in 2014, actually. I was actually looking for a job, and I didn't go to college, and, I was pushing 50, and I wasn't having any luck finding a job that suited me. So a friend of mine had sent me an article about this movement that was happening on the East Coast, this paint and sip. It hadn't made it out here yet. So I read the article and I got super excited because it just had me written all over it. And I started researching and realized that there was only one other lady that I found that was doing that out here in Southern California, in this area, and another person in LA. So there were two in Southern California. Wow. So I'm like, that's it. This is my opportunity. And, seeing the opportunity and jumping on it, that's two different things, So taking action. And what I did was I started researching, and before I knew it, I was buying supplies and scheduling my first party. And it's been such a blessing. I mean, honestly, I can't imagine my life without it. So it's such a wonderful thing to be able to share the arts and encourage people and inspire. So that's my purpose. That's my mission, is to encourage and inspire people to dig into their creativity, to their creative side, whether it's painting, sewing, cooking, all of those. They're all creative things.
Yeah.
My thing is obviously painting, and so that's what I teach. And I got to tell you, it's really picked up. When I first started, no one even knew what it was. I spent most of my time explaining what it was, and people were interested enough to have parties, and now it's just taken off, which is wonderful. Because I'll tell you why. I have a theory as to why it's taken off. We are in a renaissance right now, and I truly believe that our attraction to the arts and creativity right now is in direct response to technology. We are so isolated by technology, and we're on computers all day. We've got our smartphones and things like that, and those things really don't tap into our creative side at all. And so we're hungry for it. And I don't know if you've noticed, but they are selling art supplies in Ross, in Target, places they didn't used to sell art supplies. So I'm really looking at it. I really do feel like we're in another renaissance right now. And it's not just art. You'll see these microbreweries popping up, and gastropubs. And, these are all us starving for our creative human side. Yeah. And so thank God that we are all gravitated towards that. And then I get to come in and teach you guys how to pick up a paintbrush and put some paint on a canvas.
I love it.
So anyway, I think it's important. I like it to be fun, but it's very important to get those those creative juices flowing, because those release endorphins.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that I've had back problems off and on my whole adult life. And I can tell you that when I'm painting, I don't feel pain. I've been in my studio and I don't realize it's freezing in there until I stop painting. So you really kind of, when you get into the zone, you really don't feel any of this. It's all coming from inside. So it's very, what would you say, systemic when you're painting from within and getting it, or sewing or knitting, like I said, any of the arts really you're going to get the same feelings. So of course, I love when people take to painting because I know something about it and I can teach you a little bit about it. But for goodness sake, whatever your attraction to whatever creativity or arts, I just encourage you, cooking. And you have to try a lot of different things before you know which one is going to suit you. So I suggest everybody try all the creativity things that come their way, because you might find that you love it. You might find that you don't like it and you don't ever have to do it again, but it'll lead to something else.
And not only that, but
in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love it. But you might find that you love a lot of them too. Like you're not just, and that's what's so awesome about the creative world, is that you can dabble in many, many different things.
Oh yeah.
I definitely do.
And that's awesome. And I love that we, in this day and age, we have so many places that we can get art supplies and crafting supplies and anything that you need that you want to create. It's at our fingertips. Yeah. It's just a matter of getting yourself out there and trying something new. And that's what I'm here for, because I know a lot of times to do something on your own can be daunting. You don't know where to start. I've had clients actually that have attended one of my paint and sip events, parties, whatever you want to call them, only to reignite those creative juices that they had when they were younger, maybe even in high school, and they hadn't picked up a paintbrush since. And so what happens is they come to my class and I end up helping them buy art supplies and paint, and I push them in the right direction so that they can buy their own supplies and paint at home when they want to. Because honestly, the parties are extremely fun and awesome, but there's something to be said about sitting with yourself in front of whatever it is that you're working on with no distractions. Yeah. Those are the really magical times. Of course, there's magic during the painting sip parties too, but it's just different.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And what I think one of the things that I appreciate about you is that you also co-collaborate with other people, such as myself. We've done some amazing things together and have some in the future, but you're able to take what you do and your brilliance and collaborate with somebody who is like me, an intuitive transformational coach. And we created together this really unique event, I guess we could call it, experience. And that was such an incredible and transformational experience for not only just the people that showed up, but even us. And we were, I can't even say the word, facilitating it. So, you know what I mean? Like, I love that about you, and I appreciate that you're able to do that and incorporate other types of people into creating that for people.
Well, see, I wouldn't say that I'm brilliant on my own. I think the brilliance comes from working with other people, because I have my ideas and thoughts and I try them, but honestly, it's when I collaborate with other people. I love collaborating because you get ideas that you couldn't possibly think of on your own. And what ends up happening is when you collaborate, you end up with something really fantastic. And like you said, our events, I know that the people that have come to join, they love it because we put our hearts and souls into it, and we want them to feel the love and of each other and the arts and the activity of creating.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So I agree. I love collaborating.
And you are brilliant.
One of the awesome things.
You are brilliant. It's just, I think what it is, and this is actually a good thing to talk about is we are all brilliant. But when we're able to come together, it creates this whole other level of what we can do and help and be able to do for each other. So that's awesome. I love it. Tell me really quick before we move into our nitty gritty questions.
All right.
You painted that behind you?
Okay, so yes, this is, I'm going to talk about this, but I'll step back for a little bit. This is a triptych that I painted after I saw the Great American Eclipse that cut across the United States in 2017. And what a life-changing event. Oh my gosh. So anyway, I'll step back for a minute. So this is what I saw during the 3 different stages. This is Bailey's beads, because the sun's not completely covered. And then the diamond ring effect, which is ultimately just kind of like a pinhole of light coming. So it gives you that diamond ring shape.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the total eclipse. The world changes when you see a total eclipse. I mean, physically, the world looks different. And when I first found out that I was going to see the eclipse, well, first of all, let me back up. I found out the eclipse was happening probably only 3 months before it happened. And I got very upset, because to me, that was almost missing it. It was something I've always wanted to see my whole life. But you know, when you grow up and you become an adult, and you're an adult for a long time and things don't happen, you just quietly say, well, that's just not going to happen. Then this opportunity comes up, and it's in my own United States. I mean, I could get in a car and drive to see the eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up planning a trip, and we took a road trip. It was myself, my son, my dad and his wife, my little sister, who I'm like almost 30 years older than, and a friend. So I think so we just all hopped into a van and we drove to Stapleton, Nebraska to see this eclipse. And of course, none of us had never seen one, and none of us had never been to Nebraska. We chose Nebraska only because we knew we didn't want to go to Oregon where festivals. We wanted to just be in the nature with little distractions, as little distractions as possible. We ended up in Nebraska because Vonda, my dad's wife, had it on her bucket list. She's driven through a lot of the states, and that was one that she hadn't seen. So sure, let's go to Nebraska. I don't care where we see it, just so I get to see it. Right. Nebraska's fine. So we did. We hopped in the van. We took a road trip. It was awesome. And the morning of the eclipse, we were so excited, and there was a little bit of cloud cover, but we were where we were supposed to be, because when the eclipse happened, it was pretty clear. You could see in the distance. In fact, that's what those are. There was a lot of storms happening out in the distance. So there's a lot of thunderclouds and things like that. So it was really beautiful, even before the eclipse came. As the shadow approaches you, you can't see it. You can't see the shadow. All you can see is that the sun is changing its shape because the moon is going in front of it. So you can see the shape of the moon in front of the sun. And then as it gets covered more and more, as the moon covers the sun, of course, it gets darker outside. And there's some very strange things that happen. It gets dark, street lights come on, birds stop singing. They get very confused, because it really does get to be like night, almost like nighttime. Mm-hmm. Like I would say like a deep sunset, like after the sun's pretty low. Mm-hmm. So I went with the artist's mind. I knew that I didn't want to mess with any technology stuff. I just wanted to witness it and absorb as much of it as I could. So what I did was I did that. I did. I just looked and I took mental notes of everything. And one of the things that I thought was going to be important was I needed to, before we went, I needed to be near a tree so that I could see the light play of the eclipse happening on it. Well, it turns out it doesn't do anything, because there really isn't no light. There's no shadows or anything. So, but what did happen was I'm looking around and I'm looking at my skin and the ground and the tree and the people that I'm with. And I'm realizing everything is gray tones. And I'm like, wait a minute, the sun is blocked right now. So we're not getting the full spectrum. So everything within where you are looks gray, but then the sky, so all the color is in the sky. And it goes from a deep purpley blue down to a softer blue, lighter blue, lighter blue. And then it pretty much goes straight into just a warm orange. So that warm orange is actually, you're seeing out beyond the shadow. So you're in the middle of the shadow and you're seeing that the warm golden tones just past the shadow.
Wow.
I'm looking up and I'm seeing stars. Those aren't stars. Those are our planets. Okay?
Wow.
You talk about, I'm standing there and I've always been fascinated with the sky and the moon and the planets. I have a telescope. I love that stuff. But imagine you're standing there on the ground in the middle of the day. The sun has been blocked by the moon, and now the planets are popping out. Now you talk about a moment where I'm feeling my place in the solar system right now, because there's the sun and the moon. And I can point to it on my picture. This is Mercury. That's Jupiter. This is Mars, and I've got Venus on the side because it didn't fit on my canvas. So
Wow.
You're standing on Earth, seeing all the planets and the sun and the moon in the sky at the same time, and you can just feel and see your part in our solar system, which is in our universe. Oh my gosh, and just the beauty of it. Okay, so that is the description of the surrounding area. The sun itself,
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but what a
No, go ahead.
profound moment for you to experience that. And I love that you're sharing that with us to give an even different perspective of being in that moment and really recognize what's going on in the universe.
Yes.
I love that. That is so amazing.
And
finish that. I want to hear this. So finish this, but we got to get to our obstacle question.
Okay, I'll get to it. So really quick, and honestly, I could probably talk for an hour, and I get I have goose pimples when I talk about it. In fact, the first year after I'd seen it, I don't think I could talk about it without crying. So it was very powerful for me, partly I think because it's something I always wanted to do. There was so much to it. Anyway, okay, so back to the description though. So when you look straight at the solar eclipse, you don't have to wear the glasses because only the corona is visible. So when you're able to take off your protective glasses and really look at the eclipse, I mean, I almost fell to my knees because it was so beautiful. You know, the pictures and the photographs that you've seen are almost nothing like what it is. That's why I thought, I've got to paint this, because the only way you can get kind of close is if like photographers, they'll take like 60 images and layer them all together. And even then, it's still not quite right. So when you're looking at the eclipse, it's like, it almost looks like there was a hole punched into the sky, because where the moon is pitch black. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a blacker than that ever in my life. And there it is up in the sky. Then around that black disc is the corona. Now, I used to hear about people talk about the corona, and I'm like, oh, but no big deal. I'm thinking we're going to see the flames coming out the sides. We're not seeing flames coming out the sides. Let me tell you something. It's not yellow. It is pure white light. But there is color in it. So this is what I learned. Well, first of all, let me tell you. When I was looking at it, I almost felt like I was looking into the face of God, and that I'm seeing something that I'm not really supposed to see, because it's so different than anything you can see or experience in your life. It's its own thing. You can't compare it to anything else.
Right.
So it, and a lot of people get emotional when they see it. And I think the only way that anyone could understand it is to go see one themselves firsthand. Okay.
Definitely.
Now,
I would definitely agree with that. And I think you sharing it from that perspective and your passion behind it, it definitely had an impact on your life, obviously.
yes. Oh, yes.
Definitely.
As a matter of fact, so of course, when you take a road trip, you have to drive to the place and then you see the eclipse and then you drive back.
Right.
So I took a lot of notes. I made notations of color, planet positions. I drew little sketches, and that's what I did kind of like right after the eclipse was over. But I had a lot, I had a lot of time to think about the experience and what led up to it and my life that led up to it, actually. And when I got home and I had like a couple of days of good rest because we were exhausted by the time we got back, I woke up one morning and I realized I have over 50 orbs in my house. They're all made of different things. You know, gazing balls, the glass ones that are mirrored.
Yeah.
And I've been collecting them for years, and they're just scattered all over my house. And I brought them all together and I took pictures of them, and I was crying, and I just said, oh my gosh, God, you just gave me the best gift. I know what I'm supposed to do now. I am supposed to paint what I saw. That's all I'm supposed to do. And you know, I've been an artist. I guess I've been an artist for my whole life, but I didn't say that I was an artist till I was an adult and after I'd been painting for a long time, right?
Right.
Now I know. And it took me a while to get to this point. So I started in watercolor and acrylics, like you mentioned earlier, and I actually switched to oil just for this.
Wow. That's
and
cool.
Yeah, so I probably have like 6 or 7 testers. So it took me a couple of years to learn and figure out my new technique. And so that's where I'm at right now. And I just want to keep going with it. But ultimately, I know a lot of people throughout the world have seen the eclipse and have probably seen eclipses in pretty cool places. So I would love to do commission work for anyone that has seen an eclipse and wants to capture it and hang it on their wall. So this is Stable to Nebraska. That's what it looked like to me.
That's awesome. So I don't want to switch gears. Would you say that, you know, because this whole series about overcoming obstacles and things that you've gone through in your life, share with us, what is an obstacle that you've gone through and overcome? And would you say having experienced the eclipse has also helped you in your path, since you shared so much about it, and it's an incredible, I love hearing it from your perspective.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yes. A lot of times what holds us back is ourselves. What I'm learning is that there's opportunities out there all the time. What are you going to do about it? Okay. So, had I not taken advantage of that opportunity, I wouldn't be standing right here today talking about my new life, you know? And you just never know. I mean, an eclipse is kind of a big deal. There's smaller things that you can do that can change your life.
Right.
And one thing I've noticed, one thing I've really learned is that you can overthink yourself out of anything.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
And I do it. I do that. I'm still guilty of it. But when I went and saw that eclipse, especially because I had already decided that probably was going to be something that would never happen. Why is that? It's because I'm not pursuing it. So now
you gave me chills.
Yeah, right? So now I'm like, I want to travel the world. I want to go myself to other parts of the world and witness the eclipse. And what would be the thing stopping me? Myself.
Chills again. Yeah.
So I had a weird experience. I'm going to share it with you real quick. Or do you have to go at 2:30?
No, we're good.
Okay. So I was working in my studio one day, and this was probably about a year before I saw the eclipse. And this is kind of part of my story too. I was in my studio, and my studio faces the street. I live at the end of a cul-de-sac. So it's really cool because I get to watch the world go by. There's kids playing in the cul-de-sac, people coming and going. It was like probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was a beautiful day, sunny outside. And I looked out my window and I noticed the older gentleman that lives like 3 or 4 houses down was mowing his lawn. You know, just normal, a normal, active, beautiful day. I don't know, about 10 minutes later, I glanced out the window again, and he was laying on the grass, unconscious. Well, my studio's upstairs, so I didn't even think. There was no thinking going on. I ran downstairs, I grabbed a blanket. There was another neighbor lady nearby. I said, call 911. So she's calling 911. And I start giving this man CPR because he is not conscious. And I'm doing it until the paramedics get there. And after the fact, I honestly didn't know if he made it or not because they took him to the hospital. Well, 2 weeks went by and his son was at the house. He survived. He lived. He survived because I was giving him CPR. And you know what that taught me? That thinking gets in the way of so much. If you are presented with something like a man unconscious on his front lawn, and I did take a CPR training class a couple of years before, and you go straight into action, it's incredible what we're capable of if you don't let that mind think get in your way.
Wow.
I mean, it really, really. And that was a huge lesson for me because I definitely have been in the past one to hold myself back and think, oh no, that I shouldn't do that because blah, 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 whatever the reasons are.
Right.
But that's not living, right? You gotta be aware and ready and prepared. And so that's what I feel like I'm doing now. So there is another solar eclipse happening in South America. Do I know exactly how and finances and all that stuff? And then with the coronavirus, but you know what? I'm doing my homework, I'm getting my research, and if it happens, it's meant to be, and I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be. But I have to make it happen.
Yeah, ultimately. I love that. That's such incredible wisdom to impart on recognizing that it's our thinking that stops us from really stepping into our greatness and our full potential. And that's always what it is. Obstacles, negative limiting beliefs, it doesn't matter. It always comes back to that. And I love that you shared that. If you could tell your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Because fear, well, I can tell you right now, fear doesn't belong in art. You cannot let fear stop you. Otherwise you wouldn't create, I mean, a lot of artists, myself included, if you take yourself too seriously and afraid to make a mistake, you just won't do it. And I can tell you that because I go through phases of that all the time. But I also will get out of my way and show up in the studio and do what I can. And so if we just do our best and do what we can every day, and you know what your goals are, you just have to keep going with that.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it's going to take me.
Yeah.
But the journey is part of the fun. So
yes.
Like that morning that I was on my knees thanking God for this great gift of knowing what I'm supposed to paint, even if none of them sell or, it's still something I'm supposed to do and it still makes me happy.
Yeah.
So.
And I love, and what I find interesting too, is that when you just do it and you don't let fear stop you and don't worry if you make a mistake. What I really enjoy about how you teach it is you have a class, and I'm just kind of referencing the collaboration that we did. You have a class, everybody's painting the same thing pretty much, but none of them are the same. It's the same idea, it's the same concept, but it's you being you, and it's coming out on the canvas exactly how it needs to be. And there is no such thing as perfect. It's just being you. And I love that. And I love you're so incredibly talented. I'm looking at you, but I'm staring at your paintings behind you because they're just incredible. Aww. And I think you're so amazing. I just adore you, my friend. Thank you for being here with me today.
Oh my gosh, thanks for letting me talk about the eclipse. It's like one of my most favorite things to, literally, I could go on and on. Yeah, it's so cool to find lessons in places that we don't expect them.
Oh, that's good. Absolutely. And on that, I am going to end this, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Kimberly, so much.
Yes.
You have a great time, and thanks for everything. You're an amazing woman.
Oh,
so encouraging.
Thank you.